Yo, what is going on, everybody? Carnage back here again, and today I am back with a brand new action figure review, that being of the G.I Joe Classified FireFighter figure. Uh, wasn't planning on picking this up at any point, but after seeing my friend Izzy Art posting uh, something about it a couple months ago, I've been very tempted to pick this up. Couldn't really bring myself to spend almost 40 bucks on it though, but I went to a Target a couple hours away from me, and this guy was actually on clearance for about 25 bucks, so I thought, why not? And yeah, I mean, looks pretty awesome. Can't wait to open it. So without any further ado, let's just, crack this bad boy open. But before I do, going to the side art, I really do like the side art on this. That's pretty cool. Going to the back, really do like this backdrop that they did. Looks very cool. Really do like that quite a bit. And then not too much on this side. All the, business stuff on the bottom. Not too much on the top. Okay, now we can finally crack this bad boy open. Now, I'm just going to say this right now. There was a lot more accessories than I thought there were in that box. But first thing I saw was something I didn't know was even in this. They actually give you like a mini fire blanket, which, to prevent, people from getting set on fire, they usually, put one of these around them, which is pretty cool. Don't think I'll really, use that, so that's probably just going to be kind of just like, a little bit of a miscellaneous thing that I just, probably won't touch, like, ever. But, still really cool that they, threw it in. The next thing up, which I thought was kind of cool, they give you a pair of Jaws of Life, which do actually open and close. So that's pretty cool. And this actually does adjust kind of like a real one does, so that's even more cool. Super, super badass. And I do know, the names of a lot of this because my father was actually a firefighter for quite a bit of my childhood. So I actually know what most of these are. Uh, Gosh, I know my dad used to refer to this as the multi-tool crowbar. I don't know what if that's like, the actual name for it or not, but you basically just kind of wedge this in the door and then you can just kind of try to pry it open slash, bust open windows and stuff like that to, help people. So pretty cool. And they also did come with two of these mini fire axes, which is pretty cool, which, these are kind of for more like, easy handheld stuff, like, yeah. Can't really explain it because I don't even fully know what I'm talking about. Came with a pair of safety goggles, which I'm gonna just put it on this alternate accessory, which came with a alternate head, and then all you gotta do is just kind of slide it on, and then you can also put on the fire helmet too, kind of get him protected, which is super cool. And then the last facial accessory is the uh, basically the air mask, which provides you with like fresh, clean air. And then something else that I thought was really, really cool, they give you this air tank, which just ports right back on that. If I wasn't an idiot, yep, there we go. Yep, and the hose is removable from what it looks like. Didn't mean to bump my camera, sorry about that. And from what it looked like, yeah, I thought you were able to like hook it up from it, but this wire isn't long enough to, which kind of sucks, but can't complain. And then he came with a miniature uh, sledgehammer, which this is just a hammer basically. But two things that I thought were really cool, which he came with like a regular fire axe, which these fit in regular action figures hands. So for example, I'm just going to use this because this was the last figure I reviewed. You know, you can actually, put that in his hand. It's a little loose in the Punisher's hand, but, and if you really want to recreate, that scene from, Punisher Season 1, like, you can. That's really cool. Like, even if you don't really want the figure, you still get a decent amount of accessories with this firefighter figure. But yeah, that was all the accessories. Let's just get straight into the figure himself. So, anyway, getting to the firefighter himself, looks very good. The face does kind of have a little bit of, something on it. Don't know what that is. But so cool. Really good detail. You can actually see the little oxygen gauge, which tells you how much oxygen's in it in the tank. This is removable too, so if you don't want that on, you could probably, finagle that off. But I do think it is hooked up to that, so you might have to cut it. This is basically the back part, which, like I mentioned, you can just hook up the air tank to. I thought it went this way, but it goes the reverse way. Kind of like that, and it fits snugly on there and pops off super easy. And, really good, detailing all throughout this. And I'll get to the articulation in a second, but, this is like a very, very cool, accurate, firefighter costume. Like, I mean, granted, the costumes I grew up with were more, this color, because, as mentioned, my father used to be a firefighter. So, yeah, but very cool. It even has, like, all the wires and tubes that kind of lead into, the backpack, or not backpack, the oxygen tank, which is really cool. Now, going on to the articulation, he looks up about that far, looks down that far, arms go out that far, and he does have a butterfly joint, which, doesn't do a whole lot with the strap right there, but, still pretty cool. Full rotation of that, and I didn't even notice there was silver paint. That is, like, these things are super accurate to actual firefighters, man. Like, it's so cool. Double jointed elbows, and he does have, the normal, hand movement of, regular action figure. He does have the upper torso swivel, the lower torso swivel, which kind of replacing the, I don't remember what it's called, like the hip swivel. He does have an upper thigh cut, double jointed knees, which are pretty awesome. No boot cut, which, I mean, with how much new stuff is on this figure, not super surprising. And then, just regular ankle pivot, which is super, super awesome. And something I was kind of curious about, like, could you put, like, a regular Marvel Legend head on this? In case you didn't really want to. And the answer is, unless it's on a peg that small, no, you cannot put a regular Marvel Legend head on it. Unless you, like, customize it. Or something like that. But with another G.I. Joe figure like I have right here, you can, because they have like the same size peg hole, you can basically, if it'll let me, there we go. Yeah, like it's a little, it doesn't fit super well because I think, the head might be just a little big, but, if you want to have like a completely unmasked firefighter, you could do that if you have, a G.I. Joe figure, which, pretty awesome. Now putting the head back on. Now let me just kind of clean up my, display area, or, my little station, and I'll get back to you guys with a, handful of comparisons. Now this is a standard 1/6 figure, so I'll be showing him next to a couple other, 1/6 scale figures. The first one I'm going to be showing him next to is actually the only other G.I. Joe I have out at the moment. I don't remember his name. I think it's like Alvin, but, I'm just going to call this the Uncle Carnage figure because, someone said I kind of look like him, and, I kind of see it. So, yeah. There he is next to him, and then just because of the fact that, this was the last figure I reviewed, here he is next to the Punisher, which this Punisher looks so cool. And, I do know they released police officers, kind of like this guy, so I may pick up a couple police officers, and I'm kind of tempted to get another firefighter just because, gotta have at least more than one firefighter, man. Come on. Gotta, respect the boys who, literally, jump into burning buildings. And just because my guy, does a lot for us, let's give him a fine-ass baddie to go with it. Here he is next to Emma Frost, and since Emma Frost is in high heels, it does kind of make sense why she is taller than him. So, very cool. Really do like that. And he does scale pretty well with like regular, 6-inch scale figures, as you saw. And, if you want him to be posed with like a bigger character like Colossus, for example, works very well. And then one final thing I wanted to review him next to is this Batman. And yeah, this Batman is pretty small. This is more like teenage Batman. So, pretty cool, I guess. Like, kind of a dinky looking Batman, but, still not bad. Anyway, I know I'm getting a little sidetracked, but, really badass figure. Really do like it quite a bit. So, if you guys want to, at least try it out, I do highly recommend it. Because, it even, like, just as a background character for, like, stop motions or ACBA, works phenomenally well. And before I do fully end this video, shout out to every single firefighter, like, around the world, especially the ones who tragically passed away on September 11th. I know, as of when I'm doing this video, it is November 3rd, so I am a bit behind on that, but, just, appreciate the firefighters. They do so much for us, and, don't always get a thank you, and, some of them don't even get to go home at the end of the day. So just say thank you to a firefighter, or, at least, respect, firefighters, because they do a lot for us, and, yeah. Not going to say too much just because don't want to, kind of drone on and on about that. We're not here for that. We're here for figures. But, like I said, thank a firefighter in your area. And, yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Greatly appreciate it. And I will catch you in the next video. Peace.